Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products by Nir Eyal. Introduction. Have you ever stopped to think about your relationship with that little glowing rectangle in your pocket? I mean, really think about it. A few years ago, a study asked Americans a rather personal question. They asked if they would rather give up sex for a month or give up their cell phone. A full third of the people chose to give up sex. Let that sink in. We are, in a word, hooked. The technologies we use every day have woven themselves into the very fabric of our lives, becoming compulsions we barely even notice. It's that phantom buzz you feel in your pocket. It's the mindless scroll through Instagram that turns minutes into an hour. It's the automatic twitch of your thumb toward that familiar app icon when you have a moment of downtime. These are not accidents. These are habits. And these habits have been engineered. For years, I've watched the world change. I've seen small startups, armed with little more than code and a deep understanding of human psychology, build products that have reshaped the daily routines of billions. And I've often wondered, how do they do it? What is the secret blueprint they use to capture our attention and hold it so masterfully? Well, a brilliant thinker named Nir Eyal decided to pull back the curtain. He spent years inside Silicon Valley, consulting with Fortune 500 companies and fledgling startups, observing, testing, and refining his ideas. He looked at the winners and the losers and asked one simple question: what makes some products so sticky, so compelling, so habit-forming? The answer he found is what we're going to explore today. It's a powerful four-step framework he calls the hook model. It's the hidden engine driving the products you use every single day. My promise to you is this: by the end of our time together, you won't just understand why you can't put your phone down. You will hold the very blueprint that the world's most successful companies use to build products people love. Whether you dream of building the next great app, starting a business, or simply want to understand the invisible forces shaping your own life, this knowledge is a superpower. So, get comfortable. Let's unravel the mystery of how to build a habit. Book summary. Before we dive into the secret, we have to start with a fundamental question that every creator, every entrepreneur, must ask themselves: are you building a vitamin, or are you building a painkiller? Investors in Silicon Valley love to ask this question. A painkiller, you see, solves an obvious, urgent problem. It's like having a splitting headache. You'd do just about anything for a Tylenol. The need is clear, and the solution is direct. A vitamin, on the other hand, is a nice-to-have. You take it because you feel like you should. It's good for you, but if you miss a day or two, it's no big deal. It doesn't solve an immediate, burning pain. Now, think about services like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. When they first appeared, what were they? Vitamins, right? Nobody was waking up in the middle of the night screaming, "I need to update my status." They were novelties, fun distractions. But here's the magic that Nir Eyal uncovered. A habit-forming product starts as a vitamin, but over time, it transforms into a painkiller. A habit, at its core, is when not doing an action causes a little bit of pain. It's an itch that needs to be scratched. Think about it. That feeling of boredom, it's a slight pain. You open YouTube for relief. That pang of loneliness, another little pain. You scroll through Facebook to feel connected. That moment of uncertainty, a pain. You Google it. These products didn't just offer a feature, they attached themselves to our deepest human emotions. They became the go-to solution for our everyday psychological itches. And once that connection is made, what once felt like a vitamin now feels indispensable. It's no longer a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. So how do you build a product that makes that magical transformation? How do you create something that becomes so ingrained in a person's life that they feel a little bit of pain when they don't use it? That's where the hook model comes in. It's a simple, elegant, four-step loop that, when repeated, forges a powerful habit. The 4 steps are trigger, action, variable reward, and investment. Let's walk through this loop together, because once you see it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. The journey begins with the first step, the trigger. Imagine an oyster. How does it create a beautiful, lustrous pearl? It all starts with a tiny irritant. A grain of sand or a parasite gets inside its shell, and the oyster, to soothe that irritation, begins to coat it, layer by layer, with a substance called nacre. Over years, that simple, protective act creates a treasure. Habits are just like that. They need a foundation to build upon. They need a spark. That spark is the trigger. Triggers come in 2 flavors, external and internal. External triggers are the obvious ones. They are the things in our environment that tell us what to do next. An email notification that pings. A big, bright Buy Now button on a website. An app icon on your phone screen. A friend telling you, you've got to check out this new app. These are the grains of sand. They are prompts from the outside world, designed to get you to take an action. And when a product is new, it relies almost exclusively on these external triggers to get your attention. But the real goal, the holy grail of a habit-forming product, is to connect to an internal trigger. Internal triggers are not in your environment, they are in your mind. They are your emotions, your routines, your thoughts. And more often than not, they are negative emotions. Think about Yin, a young woman the author mentions who has a serious Instagram habit. She says she uses the app whenever she sees something cool and feels the need to grab it before it's gone. What is that feeling? It's a tiny fear. A fear of losing a moment. That feeling is her internal trigger. It's an itch that pops up in her mind, and for her, the automatic solution, the thing that scratches that itch, is opening Instagram. Boredom, loneliness, fear, uncertainty, confusion, frustration. These are incredibly powerful internal triggers. We often don't even consciously register them, but they prompt us to act, to seek relief. When we feel lonely, we open Facebook. When we feel uncertain, we use Google. When we feel bored, we browse YouTube. The ultimate goal of a habit-forming product is to be the first thing a user thinks of when they feel a certain way. To create an unbreakable association between their internal trigger and your product. When that happens, you no longer need to spend a fortune on advertising or send a constant stream of notifications. The user triggers themselves. That's the spark. But a trigger is useless if it doesn't lead to the second step in the hook, action. To form a habit, the action you want the user to take must be easier than thinking. Let me say that again. It has to be easier than thinking. Drive. B.J. Fogg, a brilliant researcher at Stanford, came up with a simple formula to explain what it takes for any behavior to happen. The formula is Bahamian dollar equals Matt dollar. Behavior equals motivation, ability, and a trigger. For a behavior to occur, you need all 3 at the same time. You need a trigger to spark the action, you need the motivation to do it, and you need the ability to complete it easily. If any one of those is missing, the action won't happen. Imagine your phone rings. That's the trigger. But you don't answer. Why not? Maybe you see it's a telemarketer. In that case, your motivation is low. Or maybe the phone is buried at the bottom of your backpack. In that case, your ability is low. You can't get to it in time. Now, of all those elements, motivation and ability, which one do you think is easier to increase? It's always ability. Trying to pump up someone's motivation is hard. It's like pushing a boulder uphill. But making an action simpler, that's like greasing the path and letting the boulder roll. This is the secret behind the last decade of technological innovation. Think about how we share our thoughts online. It used to be incredibly difficult. You had to know how to code, set up a server, and build a website. Then, Blogger came along and took out a few steps. It became easier, and more people started creating content. Then came Facebook, making it even easier to share a status update. And then Twitter arrived and said, "Don't even worry about writing a whole paragraph. Just give us 140 characters." That constraint wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. It made the action of sharing so ridiculously simple that hundreds of millions of people started doing it every single day. Most recently, apps like Instagram and Pinterest have made it even simpler. Now, all it takes is a single tap to snap a photo or rapine an image. With each new wave, the action gets easier, and the habit becomes more widespread. So, the second rule of building a habit is this: find the simplest action the user can take in anticipation of a reward, and make it effortless. But what reward are they anticipating? This brings us to the most fascinating and powerful step in the hook model: variable reward. In the 1950s, the psychologist B.F. Skinner conducted a famous experiment. He put pigeons in a box with a lever. When a pigeon pecked the lever, it got a food pellet. The pigeons quickly learned that pecking the lever meant getting food. It was a predictable feedback loop. But then, Skinner changed the game. He made the reward variable. Now, when a pigeon pecked the lever, sometimes it got a pellet, and sometimes it got nothing. The reward was unpredictable. What do you think happened? The rate of pecking went through the roof. The pigeons became obsessed with the lever, pecking it frantically. This revealed a profound truth about the brain. It's not actually the reward itself that drives us, it's the anticipation of the reward. It's the excitement, the mystery, the hope of what we might find. That's what activates the reward center of our brain and releases a flood of dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with wanting and desire. Predictable rewards become boring. Think about your refrigerator light. It turns on every single time you open the door. You don't find yourself opening it again and again just to see the light. But what if, every time you opened it, a different delicious treat magically appeared? You'd be opening that door all day long. That's the power of variability. And the most successful habit-forming products are masters of it. They use 3 types of variable rewards to keep us coming back for more. The first is rewards of the tribe. These are social rewards. We are social creatures, hardwired to seek acceptance, connection, and validation from others. Facebook, at its core, is a massive engine for variable social rewards. You post a photo. Will you get 10 likes? 100 likes? Will that person you have a crush on comment? You don't know. And that uncertainty, that anticipation of social approval, is what keeps you checking back again and again. It's the same reason people contribute for free to sites like Wikipedia or Stack Overflow. They do it for the status, the recognition, and the feeling of belonging to a tribe. The second is rewards of the hunt. This is our primal drive to search for resources and information. Think back to our ancestors. For millions of years, survival depended on the hunt. Not just for food, but for information about where to find it. This drive is still deeply embedded in us. Today, we don't hunt for mammoths, we hunt for information. And the modern-day version of the hunting ground is the infinite scroll. Think about your Twitter feed, your Pinterest board, or your news feed. It's a slot machine of information. You scroll, and scroll, and scroll, because you never know what juicy tidbit, what fascinating article, or what hilarious meme you might find next. The hunt is endless, and the rewards are always variable. The third and final type is rewards of the self. These are rewards that are personal and intrinsic. They are about mastery, competence, and completion. It's the satisfaction of clearing your inbox and reaching inbox zero. It's the thrill of leveling up in a video game and unlocking a new skill. It's the quiet pride of completing a difficult puzzle. These rewards satisfy our deep-seated need to feel capable and in control. They scratch an internal itch for order and accomplishment. A product doesn't need to have all three, but the best ones often blend them together, creating an irresistible cocktail of variability that keeps our brains captivated. So, you've pulled the user in with a trigger. They've performed a simple action. And they've received a delightful, variable reward. The loop is almost complete. But there is one final, critical step that turns a one-time interaction into a long-term habit. This is the fourth step: investment. This is where the user is asked to do a little bit of work. This might sound counterintuitive. We just said that the action needs to be as easy as possible. But the investment phase comes after the reward, when the user is feeling good and is more likely to reciprocate. The investment isn't about immediate gratification. It's about setting up for future rewards. It's about loading the next trigger and storing value in the product, making it better and stickier with every use. What does an investment look like? It can be something as simple as following someone on Twitter. When you follow a new account, you don't get an immediate reward. But you've just made an investment. You've curated your feed, making it more likely that you'll find interesting content the next time you open the app. You've made the product better for your future self. It can be adding a song to a playlist on Spotify. With every song you add, you are storing value. You're building a personal library that becomes more precious to you over time. The thought of leaving and rebuilding that library on another service becomes more and more daunting. It can be building a reputation on a site like eBay or Airbnb. Every positive review you get is a form of stored value. Your reputation makes the service more valuable to you, because it allows you to transact with more trust and ease. It can even be learning a new skill, like mastering the complex interface of a program like Adobe Photoshop. The hours you invest in learning that skill make you less likely to switch to a competitor, because you'd have to start all over again. This is the magic of the investment phase. It does two crucial things. First, it stores value, making the product more useful and harder to leave. The author calls this the IKEA effect. Research shows that we irrationally overvalue things we've put our own labor into. That bookshelf you struggled to assemble? You probably love it more than a pre-built one, simply because you invested your effort in it. The same is true for digital products. Second, the investment phase loads the next trigger. When you follow someone on Twitter, you're giving the platform permission to send you notifications about their tweets. When you message a match on a dating app like Tinder, you are loading the trigger for a reply notification. You are setting up the next loop of the hook, ensuring that you'll be prompted to come back. And so, the loop is complete. An internal trigger sparks a simple action. The action delivers a variable reward. The user is then prompted to make a small investment, which stores value and loads the next trigger. And on it goes. With each pass through this cycle, the connection between the user's problem and the product's solution gets stronger. The external triggers become less necessary, as the user's own internal triggers, their emotions and routines, take over. The habit is formed. The vitamin has become a painkiller. And what started as a novelty has now become an indispensable part of their life. That, my friend, is the hook model. It's not magic. It's just a deep, profound understanding of what makes us tick. Commentary. So, what do we do with this knowledge? As we've journeyed through the hook model, it's impossible not to feel a mix of awe and, perhaps, a little bit of unease. This is a powerful framework. And as the old saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Nir Eyal addresses this head-on with a simple but profound tool he calls the manipulation matrix. It's a way for anyone building a product to ask themselves a very important question: should I be doing this? The matrix has two questions. First, does this product materially improve the user's life? And second, would I, the creator, use this product myself? Based on your answers, you fall into one of four categories. If you are building something that you personally use and you genuinely believe makes people's lives better, you are a facilitator. You're helping people form healthy habits. This is where the magic happens. It's where you find entrepreneurs who are scratching their own itch, solving a problem they deeply understand and care about. This is the surest path to creating something people will love. If you believe your product improves lives, but you wouldn't use it yourself, you are a peddler. You might have good intentions, but you are creating a solution for a customer you don't truly understand. It's a very difficult place to be, and it often leads to products that miss the mark. If you use your product, but you can't honestly say it improves people's lives, you are an entertainer. There's nothing wrong with art or entertainment. Games, movies, music, they bring joy to the world. But it's a tough business to be in, because entertainment relies on constant novelty. The user's desire for what's new and exciting is insatiable, and you have to keep feeding the beast. And finally, if you wouldn't use the product yourself, and you don't believe it improves anyone's life, then you are a dealer. You are exploiting a human vulnerability for profit. This is a morally dangerous path, and it rarely leads to long-term success. This matrix isn't a judgment. It's a mirror. It asks us to be honest with ourselves about what we are putting into the world. The goal, always, should be to be a facilitator. To build the change you want to see in the world, starting with yourself. So, how can you start applying this wisdom today? It's simple. Become a more mindful observer of your own behavior. For the next week, every time you find yourself pulling out your phone and opening an app without thinking, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what was the trigger? What was I feeling right before this? Bored? Anxious? What was the simple action I just took? What was the variable reward I was searching for? Was it validation from friends? A piece of interesting information? A feeling of completion? And what tiny investment will this app ask of me to keep me coming back? By simply noticing the hooks in your own life, you'll start to see the world differently. You'll understand your own habits better, and you'll gain a powerful lens through which to view every product you encounter and every idea you dream up. That was a summary of Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products by Nir Eyal. We've touched on the big ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you read the book yourself. It's in the quiet moments, when a particular story or a simple phrase hits you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is a map, designed to show you the terrain and help you decide if this is a journey worth taking. If anything we've talked about today has sparked your curiosity, I truly encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see the world and the products that shape it. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that we're on the right track, and it ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.